Lena had always been fascinated by antiques. She spent weekends scouring second-hand stores and estate sales for hidden treasures. One chilly autumn afternoon, while rummaging through an old house in the countryside, she found something that sent a shiver down her spine: a doll, sitting on a dusty shelf in the attic. The doll was beautiful, with glassy blue eyes, a porcelain face, and a thick mane of brown curls. Its clothing was tattered, a faded Victorian dress that had yellowed with age. But what caught Lena's attention the most was the way it seemed to be staring directly at her. The longer she looked, the more unsettling it became. The doll's eyes didn't blink. They were almost too lifelike, as though the doll was watching her, studying her. Despite the eerie feeling, Lena couldn't resist. She took the doll and brought it home, thinking it would make a perfect addition to her collection. That night, she placed it on a shelf in her living room, its glassy eyes catching the light in the dim room. But the doll never felt quite right. At night, Lena began to hear noises. Soft scraping sounds, like fingernails running across the floorboards. The first time it happened, she assumed it was the house settling. But the noises grew louder, more frequent, and always seemed to come from the direction of the living room where the doll sat. One evening, after a particularly unsettling night, Lena decided to move the doll to the attic. She thought it might be better up there, away from her. But as soon as she placed it back in the attic, the air seemed to grow colder, heavier. That night, Lena was awoken by a noise. It was soft at first, almost like a whisper. She dismissed it as a dream, but then the sound grew clearer: footsteps. Slow and deliberate. As if someone, or something, was walking across the floor of the attic. Heart pounding, Lena got out of bed, grabbed a flashlight, and made her way up the creaky stairs to the attic. The room was dark and still, the only light coming from her flickering flashlight. She scanned the space, but the doll was nowhere to be found. Frantically, Lena searched every corner of the attic. And then, she heard it, soft, rhythmic scratching coming from behind a stack of old furniture. She approached cautiously, her breath shallow, and moved the items aside. There it was. The doll. But it was different now. Its once pristine porcelain face was cracked, its eyes wide open, staring straight at Lena with an unnatural intensity. Its mouth twisted into a grotesque grin, and its arms were now outstretched, as if reaching for her. Lena stumbled back, the flashlight slipping from her hand and rolling across the floor. She turned to flee, but the attic door slammed shut behind her. She was trapped. Suddenly, a cold, clammy hand gripped her ankle. Looking down, Lena saw the doll's hand, now twisted and long, gripping her tightly. She screamed, trying to shake it off, but the doll's fingers dug into her flesh. Panicking, she pried the doll's hand loose and scrambled toward the door. As she yanked it open, she heard a voice, a whisper, soft yet chilling: "You can't leave, not now." The flashlight flickered, and the doll was gone. Lena never saw the doll again, but she couldn't escape the feeling that it was always there, watching her from the shadows. She moved away from the house, leaving everything behind, but the whispers, the scratching sounds, and the feeling of being followed never ceased. And somewhere, in the depths of the attic, the doll waited, its eyes never blinking, its smile forever frozen in the darkness.